You probably heard about space before. You know this, that many of you probably have been commenting for a while. But space actually goes beyond that. Space is also about satellites. It's about what we do with the data that these satellites are collecting. And it's about what we do with it on Earth. The most common understanding of people when it comes to space technology and data is about the upstream segment. SpaceX, to name a few, Elon Musk, thanks by the way for making the new space such a great and exciting adventures for people today. He has lowered the entry barrier in a way that no one else could have done before. But what I want to do here is to expose to you the other use of space, the downstream segment. We're using satellite data and satellite technology over multiple industries. These industries are going from healthcare, financial sector, education, space, obviously, and much more. What we do at EUSPA is to connect data collected by the European version of GPS, which is called Galileo, which is a GNSS for Global Navigation Satellite System, and Copernicus data, which are basically Earth observation data. You see, when you see satellite images that are coming from satellites, Sentinel, 1, 2, and more, these data are then used in multiple applications that maybe some of you have already been building. Like, how about using satellite images running on a machine learning algorithm to extract insight that then being feeding into a model that insurances, banks, or governments could then be used for predicting the next harvest, how much you're gonna pay for whatever product or services you're using, or maybe in terms of climate change, how to accurately put a number in the cost that it is occurring in areas like agriculture and many more. Startups are already using satellite data and satellite technology, and organizations, publicly funded, like the one I'm working with, are using different channels to support them, one of which is hackathon, competition, accelerators, and obviously technology and business support to make them go from an idea, a prototype, and a commercial solution at low cost, de-risking it so that they can get ready for funding at the end of the support. Here are the different ways we're doing it. I mentioned one of the competition we're running now, which is called MyUSpace. We basically invite applicants to submit an idea, a prototype, or a commercial solution, but there is a trick here. You've got to demonstrate that there is a use of satellite data and satellite technology in the tech stack that you already have built or that you're building so that you are eligible. We are doing all this within the context of the Cassini program, which is a European-wide program that is intended to create the new space with heavily funded projects and access to technical support, mentoring, I'm actually one of the mentors, and access to a network of partners and companies, among which think of Thales, Boeing, and many others that are active in the space and defense sector. I have personal interest in Web3. First time I interacted with it, actually it was not Web3, it was blockchain, and it was at a hackathon in 2016 in Prague at the Paralinipolis Hacker Institute. So you can imagine that I've kind of gone a long way from it. And thanks to my interest, I actually connected it to EUSPA in the sense that we've run this workshop about space and metaverse last month. And we're trying to explore what are the different use cases that we could make of satellite data and satellite technology within Metaverse. I'll tell more about it very soon. But just to remind you, this is competition that is open to all. I invite you to apply. There is obviously, besides access to a network, promotion, and so on, the fact that these are heavily science-based and research-based organizations that have access to private and public organizations and government. And we invite you to work with us to provide satellite-based technology and solution for a wide range of customers and users. And one of my personal interests is the challenge that covers deep tech. If you're a Web3 builder, that you are interested in NFTs, or if, for example, you know about quantum technology, which, by the way, last year we ran a competition that brought together up to 5 companies in Europe that are building quantum-based applications. And they have interest and use in securing communication, not only between satellites, but also on Earth, because I guess many of you are already aware that in a post-quantum world, you'll need maybe to upgrade some of your security protocol if you really want blockchain to still be relevant in this. So I invite you to apply, and obviously I won't be part of the jury if I meet you here, but I'll do my best to facilitate the connection and to make your integration to space technology as smooth as possible. Then we also have, I would say, space course gathered through MOOCs that we've opened to the wider population. We've had so far up to 400, 500 participants in these courses, and they go beyond just the technological part, because you can learn it at school, or you can learn it on your job, but you won't be able to put it all together within space tech entrepreneurship venture. So we're covering different aspects, and myself as a mentor, I'm also helping engineers, researchers, scientists to find applications of deep technology in the context of a business. Now, why even thinking about space and metaverse? Because for me it makes sense, but maybe it might be interesting to remind that the way the metaverses are built today, though very exciting, very playful, because it comes often from the game industry, does not look as close to what we expect from modern futuristic metaverse. I'm talking here about a Ready Player kind of level metaverse. Or for those who are old enough to remember this movie, Minority Report. It's great to explore the metaverse as they are today, but it's even better to bridge the real world to the digital world in the kind of metaverses where we'll be onboarding not only the lucky few of us who are already onto the blockchain, but maybe the mass who, during the pandemic, have realized that you can do a lot of things at distance using technologies like VR, AR, and many others to experience the world and your digital life in a way that is more immersive. So how about using geospatial data to maybe replicate a place that you already know, like maybe here, Conventu de Beato, using the images realistically reproduced, running it onto a rendering engine, and then repopulating the world that you've built either on Unity or Unreal Engine or whatever in a way that is realistic. And maybe you can even add some other physics data, like air quality, or maybe even density. These kind of data are not available openly unless you know where to find them, and we can help you finding them. There are already several use cases of space and metaverse together. Typically, the army or the defense sectors are looking at using one of the components of metaverses, in particular VR and AR technology, for education. But it's not only the army who's doing that. Many are actually doing it. The industry is doing it. And organizations that are building enterprise-ready metaverses are looking a lot into doing it. Then you can build geotag data, for example. You can connect people without borders and without the need to fly to an event if or when needed by reducing your carbon footprint, by actually having this event within the metaverse. One of the startups that we are working with has done just that, or is actually doing it just that. It's trying to connect the whole space tech ecosystem from the startups, the investors, to the corporates, and the institutional partners within a metaverse where they'll be able to interact, close deals, train, network, and all this with either a free entry barrier or an as low as possible barrier to entrance. The founder of that startup is called Noemi. She is the manager of one of the biggest space tech accelerators in the world, and you can contact her if you would like to discuss further, or I can connect you with her and discuss how we can bring the Web3 and space data and technology together to make the metaverse she's building a success. Another startup that I've been lucky to meet and discussing with, and also mentoring a bit, is actually doing some incredible thing when it comes to bringing blockchain, and in particular, the 4 or 5 protocol that they tested with, Bitcoin, Ethereum, IPFS, and all this using VLabs, for example, to space. What they're doing is to enable the infrastructure that will be powering tomorrow blockchain-based application, but instead of doing that on centralized system that today more than 70% of all the dApps are put on, they're doing it using what they call space nodes. The space nodes have been launched over the past 6 years, no, actually 5 years roughly, and they already launched to space Bitcoin, as I said, Ethereum, Filecoin, and many more. I can put you in touch with one of the founders. He's called Ivan, and he'll definitely will be having a pleasure discussing with you about what they do. And now maybe we could collaborate with Web3 builders to bring in even more to space to power the infrastructure of tomorrow's Web3. Or I can give you more details about what they do. To summarize, there is already connection between space and metaverse. I'm not talking about tomorrow. I'm talking about something that is happening today. So the question is, beyond thinking about the shuttle, the spacecraft, and very exciting adventures awaiting us in Mars, what could we do today with space data that could have a need here on Earth? Because as soon as you use a mobile device, you are already using space technology, even if you don't know it. Navigation, positioning, this is satellite technology. When you build an app that do navigation, like one of the most popular map that we use, or the application that brought us here to this event, they're using space technology. When you do a financial transaction, and there is a timestamp on this transaction, it's connected to a clock that is synchronized to a satellite. This is also satellite technology and satellite data. Now, bringing it even several steps forward, you take satellite images, you feed them into an algorithm, and you populate tomorrow's metaverse, making them more realistic, immersive, maybe reminding you of places you grew up and that you love and that you like to spend more time. These are the kind of metaverses where I personally would like to spend my time in the future. So I invite you to take a look at space data and how to connect it to Web3 solutions you're already building. And let's have a chat. Let's discuss how to make it happen, either participating to our competitions or being part of our network of startups that are today not just limited to the space industry, but to the broader spectrum. And let's connect you to investors who often don't know much about blockchain, but are definitely interested into investing in tomorrow's big thing. You want to hear more from us? You can find us at Web Summit and Slush in Lisbon next week and in Helsinki in a month from now. Thank you.